Hey, welcome to the Event Answer Studio. Today I want to show you how to put together this floating teddy bear balloon arrangement. Our teddy bear is taking flight with a heart-shaped balloon cluster up above. And to support this illusion, we first need to make a base. And the base is going to be made out of a 12-inch cardboard circle. I'm using a cake board today because these are cut perfectly round and this one even has a gold foil finish already on it. To this I'll be attaching a 3/16 dowel rod using a balloon stick cup. Now this is something you can buy in a bag of balloon sticks, but this will be a great support for our dowel rod, and that 3/16 fits just on the inside of it nice and snug. Now before we can secure these together, I'm first going to apply a coat of gold paint to the entire length of my dowel rod, and that'll camouflage it amongst the gold ribbons that we'll be using later on. While I wait for the paint to dry, I'm going to pull out my hot glue gun and secure the balloon stick cup to the very center of my cardboard circle. Apply a generous amount of hot glue to the wide end of the balloon cup and stick it right in the middle. The important thing here is to make sure that balloon cup is standing nice and straight. Now into that we're just going to slot our dowel rod so it sits nice and snug. And I have found that when I make these designs, people like to grab the design by this dowel rod. Now it can pop out of this cup, so to help prevent that from happening, I'm going to put an extra layer of hot glue right on the joint where those two meet. Our teddy bear sits on a set of quads made from these 7-inch gold chrome balloons, and I'm going to inflate 4 of these to 12 pumps of air or 6.5 inches in diameter and tie them together into a quad. Once you've got all 4 balloons inflated to the same size, then we're going to tie them into pairs. So take 2 balloons, wrap the nozzle around twice, and then tie them in a simple knot. Once you've got one pair made, go ahead and make one in the exact same way, and then we're going to bring the 2 of them together to make our quad. Overlap both pairs so the nozzles touch in the center, and then twist one balloon from each pair around each other, and that will lock it into a quad. This will be the base layer that our teddy bear sits on. Now on top of this, we need to make one more quad in the exact same way, but these 4 gold balloons have been inflated with 6 pumps of air. Starting with the larger quad, we're going to attach these to our base. So slide the quad right around the dowel rod so the dowel rod is touching the nozzles, and then the 2 balloons that are on either side of that dowel rod, you're going to twist them around each other and that will lock it to the base. Now on top of this, we're going to do the same thing with our smaller quad, nestling it right around that dowel rod and then twisting it in place. We want to make sure these balloons are snugged nice and tight against the lower balloons. So once you've got it attached to the pole, they're going to make sure each balloon of that top quad is sitting between the 2 balloons below it. This will make it less likely for people to see through to the center of our arrangement. Now it's time to bring in the star of this arrangement, and that's the teddy bear. I'm using an 18-inch tall teddy bear to be the focal point of this balloon display, but this also makes a wonderful gift for the child or mother-to-be once the party's over. Slip the bear's legs around the dowel rod and sit him right on top of the gold balloons. Now we need a way to keep him in place, so I'm going to use these mini rubber bands that I picked up in the craft section, or you can also use the clear mini hair ties just as well. So I'm going to take one of these rubber bands and stretch it out and slip it over the top of the dowel rod and bring it all the way down to where the teddy bear is sitting. Now I want to slip the rubber band around his head so it sits right underneath his chin, but if your teddy bear's head is too big for the rubber band, you can also slip this over the bear's shoulder. This will keep the bear's body upright and attached to the overall arrangement. The great thing about using rubber bands is they disappear into the fur of the teddy bear without causing harm to the toy. Now to make it look like he's holding on to the stick or what will eventually be the ribbons, I'm going to take one more rubber band and secure his little hand to the dowel rod. So take the rubber band over the top of the dowel rod, twist it around once or twice, and then grab just the very end of the teddy bear's hand and slip it over the rubber band. Now you may have to adjust where the rubber band is sitting so it looks like the bear's hand is in a natural place. I've situated the teddy bear so that he's tilted to one side away from the hand that's holding onto the dowel rod, and that will give us the illusion that he's floating underneath our heart-shaped balloons. To make the heart-shaped balloon, we're going to need 12 of these 6-inch link balloons, and 2 common brands they're known by are either Quick Links or Linkaloons. These balloons have a nozzle on one side and a tail on the other, and these 2 ends allow us to tie them together end to end in a chain. So I'm going to inflate 12 of these to 3 pumps of air before tying them off into pairs. So I'm going to take the nozzles of 2 balloons, wrap them around twice, and tie them together into pairs. Once I've got all those pairs made, I'm then going to link all 12 balloons together into one long chain by tying the tails end to end. Then I'm going to take the first and last balloon in that chain and tie them together so I have a solid ring. Now with this ring of 12 balloons, this is going to become the main body of our heart. So lay the ring flat on the table and then gather 4 links close together so they look like they're forming a square. And right at the joints where the 4 balloons meet, we're going to twist that around each other, and that will secure those 4 balloons into a square. Now the heart is basically made up of 3 of these squares. So the second square is going to be 1 balloon from the top, and then we're going to count 3 balloons from this lower edge of the ring and bring those nozzles together, and that's going to give us the bend in our heart. So right at that joint where those 2 squares meet, twist that one around as well. Now this gives us the base shape of our heart, but where we've twisted these links together can be a little floppy, and we want our heart to stay nice and flat. So to strengthen these twists, I've inflated 2 pairs to 4 pumps of air each. So I'm going to take one of these pairs and slip it right around one of those twists that we made, bringing both of those balloons around those twists and all the way up, and then I'm going to twist those 2 balloons around each other so that'll lock them to this piece. Once I've twisted them around, I'm going to make sure 1 balloon stays on the front side of the heart, and I'm going to push 1 balloon to the back side of the heart. I then did the exact same thing on the other twist with 1 more pair, and now we're ready to start filling out our heart and giving it some dimension. So inside each of those squares, I'm going to stick a pair of my gold balloons that I've inflated to 6 pumps of air. These pairs are going to slot right into the square, so you can pull the links apart a little bit to make room for that first balloon to go through, and that pair is going to rest right between the links, and you don't have to tie any knots. If you like a really structured look, you could always stop here with your heart, but I want to give this heart an organic look and really flesh it out so we can round out the ends and fill in any gaps. And to do that, I've inflated a bunch of 5-inch balloons to 1 pump of air or less, and I'll be attaching those using these glue dashes. Now because we're going for an organic look, the number of these 5-inch balloons you'll need to inflate will vary from person to person, but for reference, I inflated 70 of these little balloons for the front and back of my heart. Now secure these in place with a glue dash right near the nozzle of each of these balloons, and tuck that nozzle either directly into the arrangement, or you can take a pair of scissors and trim it away so you don't have to worry about accidentally seeing it later on. I attached my tiny balloons in all the nooks and crannies of my heart, paying special attention to the outside edge of my heart. I wanted to add a little roundness to the lobes, but I also want to keep the sides of the heart nice and straight. On the point of the heart, I added 1 balloon right at the very point to keep that nice sharp shape, but don't put any tiny balloons on the back side of the point just yet because we need to get our balloon stick through there first, so set a couple tiny balloons aside to cover that up later. Once you've got all your tiny balloons in place on the front and the back of the heart, we want to go around and tuck in any balloon tails or nozzles, or if they won't tuck in and stay, you can always take a pair of scissors and trim them away. This will give our heart a nice clean look, and we'll be ready to attach it to our teddy bear base. Up to this point, I've left the dowel rod its full 36-inch length on the base, but now that we have the heart done, I'm going to use the heart to gauge how long we want that dowel to be and if we need to trim it shorter. So go ahead and hold your heart up to the top of the dowel rod, and you want to have a gap of 6 to 8 inches between the top of your teddy bear and the bottom of the heart. On top of that, we need to leave 12 inches of dowel rod for the heart to attach to. Now if you have any dowel rod that's poking up beyond your heart, we need to trim that down. So I'm cutting about 4 inches off the top of my dowel rod for the sizing that I have, but depending on the size of your teddy bear and your heart, your length may be a little different. Now that we've got the dowel rod trimmed to size, I'm going to go ahead and use that length to measure out how much ribbon I need for my bear. So I'm going to take my curling ribbon and align it with the very top of my dowel rod and stretch it all the way down to the top of my table. I'm going to cut the ribbon at that point and have that be the measurement I need to cut all the rest of my ribbons to. So in total, I'm using 8 pieces of ribbon that are all cut to the same length, and this is what we'll use to camouflage the dowel rod that supports our balloons. So once you've got all those cut to length, take a piece of tape and lay it on your table sticky side up, and into this tape, I'm going to stick the very end of each of my ribbons before picking up that tape and wrapping it around the very tip of my dowel rod. By wrapping this around and around, it'll completely camouflage my dowel rod in all these gold ribbons. Now go ahead and run your fingers down the ribbon to straighten it all out, making sure you cover all different sides of that dowel rod. Now to hold these ribbons in place, I'm going to take a rubber band and overlap it a couple times and run it down the full length of the dowel rod until I get to the rubber band that's holding the teddy bear's hand. The ribbon that's below his hand, I'm going to arrange to make sure that it covers the dowel rod that's going across his tummy. And then all the other bits of ribbon, I'm going to put a loose curl in and arrange so that it cascades not only across the front of the teddy bear, but down the side of the balloons. I'm going to turn the arrangement around to the back so you can see exactly how I'm going to attach the dowel rod to the heart. Now I didn't put any tiny balloons on the backside so you can very clearly see this. The dowel rod is going to sit in front of the white quick link, go behind the gold balloon touching its nozzle, and then come and sit right in front of that top white quick link. When the top of our dowel rod is sitting right in the middle of that white quick link, this is the moment to make sure your heart is sitting nice and straight. Once you're happy with the placement of it, secure it in place with a piece of tape across the top of the dowel rod and one more piece of tape on the very bottom balloon, making sure you're catching the dowel rod and not just the ribbons. Then you can camouflage all of this tape with a few more of your tiny balloons, and this teddy bear is ready to take flight at your next baby shower or birthday party. If you enjoyed today's video, you should check out this baby shower project next. So until then, remember, stay creative everybody. Bye!